All right, so today is the final class of the Christ and Culture course that we began in January. This is March. Sorry, this is February. I think in March. This is February, and it's one of the shortest courses that we have. We have made it that way so that you can assimilate. And there are one or two more courses that is going to be that. While the more higher density courses like Old Testament survey, New Testament survey, and some other one might run for 3 months or more. Courses like this is going to be for 2 months. Another course that is probably going to be, that may give or take the same duration, might be spiritual disciplines. And of course, you know that you are going to be having that in your next class. So we're going to do a bit of Q&A today before I jump into the final. Anything encountered during the course, question you would like to ask. So let's just maybe note some of those questions now. You can ask them now. I can answer some now and some as we go. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So do we have any questions we'd like to add? Any comments, observations, what you've observed, what has struck you the most in this course? And before we do the last part of the course. Does anybody, if you want to speak, can just unmute, that will be okay. If you can just unmute and speak.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, following this strength in weakness, I don't know if I can ask a question on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking at Guy Hammond, when he talks about attractions, you can be a same-sex attracted and not be sinning against God. That is, it is not about the attraction, but the action that counts. Now, the case of where Jesus Christ had to, I think in the book of Matthew 5, if I'm not mistaken, when he was speaking about one actually falling into adultery or fornication, where you have to look at the lady lustfully, and in your heart or in your mind, you are thinking, already thinking of committing the act. Now, connecting it with what Guy Hammond is saying about the attractions you feel or the sensual thoughts you feel concerning the opposite sex or same-sex agenda, how can I relate that? How can I, with what Jesus Christ said about you thinking about something negative or sexual, that means you've already committed the act. Should I wait until I can, is it okay for me to feel or sense the act, or just, enjoy the attractions, and because I didn't commit the act, that set me free, that makes me free from sin or from sin, comparing it with what Jesus Christ said in Matthew.
Okay, that's a very good question, actually. Thank you for asking that question. That question calls for radical, you want to call it radical discipleship towards not just sin, but anything that will cause you to stumble. Now, if you look at that scripture very well, it talks about the hearts, and I think the book of James breaks it down for us that sin does not just come, God does not send sin to us. We actually attract sin. We are the one that actually attracts sin. There's a saying that we normally use in life coaching, and that was the theme for the campus conference 2 years ago. The campus conference was, Is it 2 years ago? I'm mixing them all right now. Focus. Focus is last year. Focus. And we normally say in life coaching that where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. Let's do an experiment. If you guys are ready for the experiment, if you are ready, put up your hand, the electronic hand, like the one I'm doing right now. If you're ready to try an experiment, okay, Blessing is ready, Phyllis is ready, Mariam is ready. Okay, some of you cannot find your electronic hand. Okay, all right. I'm sure you are all ready. And please don't, I hope you don't mind the reception here is very bad. So sometimes the picture quality will not be as good as it should be. Now, here's the experiment. You can go ahead and put down your hand. Here's the experiment. Now, I want all of you, I want everyone here not to think of a yellow elephant. Don't think of a yellow elephant. Don't think of a yellow elephant. All right, make sure you don't think of a yellow elephant. Now, let us go and look at how many of you obeyed it. How many of you thought of a yellow elephant? How many of you thought of I was an yellow elephant. It's very confusing, right? Yellow elephant. An elephant, yellow elephants. How many of you thought of yellow elephants? Put up your hand. Yeah, everybody actually. Everybody. Now, let me go into a little bit of mind explanation of how things work. Now, one, there are certain things you don't have control over. You don't have control over what comes to your mind. Immediately I said, don't think of yellow elephant. Guess what? Your mind thinks of yellow elephants. Because you cannot not think of it without first thinking of it. All right. You cannot not, sorry, my distance for now. You cannot not think of it without first thinking of it. Now, so what does that explain? That explains the fact that there are certain things you have control over. There are certain things you don't have control over. For example, I don't have control over what comes at me. Let's say I'm driving. I don't have control over what comes at me, not what I see. I mean, I see what comes at me. It's what comes at you, you will see. If it doesn't come at you, you will not see it. So I have control over what comes at me, but I have control over what I direct my focus on. So there are two different things. Where focus goes, energy flow. So as a young disciple, this is what I was taught by the guy who discipled me. A very smart guy. He taught me the first look is inevitable. The first look, whether good, bad, whatever, then we're talking about the topic of lust. So he taught me that the first look was inevitable. And but the second look is probably what begins to count. The second, third, and so on. So also, if you see, if a guy sees a lady, an attractive lady, first look, go back for the second look. That is now deliberate. That is now deliberate. And I will tell you that in the past 31 years of it, 99.9% of time, I don't take a second look. I don't. Now, the consequences to that. What that means that there's some things I don't observe. There's something I don't observe because I've trained myself to be that way. So there's some things that I don't observe. Some things I miss in terms of details. My wife can say, "Oh, do you see what that person is wearing?" I say, "Was that person there? I didn't even see," because I've trained my mind. For me. So the first look, let's call it inevitable. This one I'm telling you has no scriptural reference. There's no Bible reference that says first look is inevitable, but it's just wisdom. God has given us wisdom also to, so that we don't pick down ourselves, so that we understand self. So if the first look is inevitable, the second look probably not. The second look is where the questioner asks, "Why did you look?" What do you see? So let's come to attraction. Now we're talking that, that's about sin, right? But let's talk about something that is potentially sinful, not even sinful at all, but potentially sinful. Men usually like cars, men like gadgets and cars. Women prefer more than what men like. Now, I don't want to say what women first, but women will argue with me that that's not what they like. But anyway, now let's take for a man. Most men I know love nice cars. I like small cars, like small. Now, that's a paradox because I drive a very big car, but I actually like small car. My very first car as a married person was a 205. I love that 205. Real nice 205, black, open roof, alloy wheel, red rug. The rug inside is red, real cute, 2.0 liter engine. That car has taken me around everywhere in Nigeria that I've gone. Now, if I see a 205 passes me now, I will look like just because I'm attracted to cars like that. I'm attracted to Mini, this British car, Mini Coupe. I'm attracted to cars, that are. Now, so there's no way those cars will pass me without me turning my eyes. I have to turn my eyes. I'll look. Now, turning my eyes and looking is one thing. Now, if I now begin to trail the owner of that car, let me trail the car to find out where they park it so I can steal it. Now, that is where the problem will not be. Or if I now go start thinking about which bank will I go and break in, which ATM machine will I go and so I can go and steal that car. That's another thing. So attraction is one. My attraction is another thing. And I know that God has created everybody to appreciate whatever they consider as beautiful. And that is why they say that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Because what might be beautiful to one person might not be beautiful to person basically. And that's what I wonder, what does that guy find? Now, I just came back from Israel just yesterday. But by this time yesterday, we are still airborne. So we just yesterday, and people will take pictures of nice things. People but someone like, what do you think? One of the most precious gifts I brought back from Israel, I didn't even buy it, and I'm maybe the only person who did. I walked down the Lake Galilee, which is Lake Galilee. In the evening, I went down this Lake Galilee, went to the water side and picked up rock, 3 igneous rock from that place. Actually, we picked up 3, maybe 2 or 3. And to me, that was precious. Now, other people might buy this, might buy that, but to me, that is what I consider as so beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. What we do with our attraction can either be good or bad. It can be good. So lust comes from attraction. So that's why we have to be mindful of the things that we are attracted to. Now, be attracted to anything, fine. What we do with that attraction is now very important. Even if it's something that is good. Okay? Bible talks about people being lovers of themselves in a negative way. Now, you need to also love yourself, take care of yourself. Everybody needs to love themselves. If you love yourself, that's when you take care of yourself, because your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. Now, when you now become a lover of self, when self is the only thing that you do, I guess, that is where the red flag, begins to go. So men can be attracted to men. When I say attracted, you can see a guy say, oh, I like the physique. Now, there's a guy I saw in Addis Ababa. I think on our way back, Addis Ababa, a black guy with beards. But I was not attracted to his beards. But he was built. You could tell that he's a body builder. Not those bodybuilders that looks awkward. No. His own bodybuilding was well built, and his legs were smaller. And it was probably taller than me, maybe my height, whatever. And I said, wow, I like this physique. Yeah. So there are people who like another, physique. There are people who are attracted to people who are smaller than them. There are people who are attracted to people who are taller than them. There are people who are attracted to people who are plus size. There are people who are attracted to people who are slimmer. So individuals have their attraction. Now, what you do with your attraction is not going to be it. So if you're attracted to, let's say, this this speaker, which is good. I mean, the first time I saw it, I probably share with you guys. I saw it with a brother. We had a family meeting on a Saturday at the Sule. This was like almost 10 years ago. It's been a long time, maybe 7, 8 years ago. When I saw it, I first thing I heard was the sound. The quality was good. I've never seen a speaker like this before. It's just read and whatever. And I told him, I said, bro, this is awesome. I love it, whatever. And the guy took a mental note. The following day, we met at church on Sunday, and he gave it to me. We came and I said, bro, he said, you can have it. You know, that he'll buy himself another one. You know, now, I didn't leave that guy before thinking, oh, let me go and buy this. I was not even thinking about it. I was not thinking, hey, I'm so poor because I don't have this thing. Or maybe I'm so disadvantaged. No, I just showed appreciation. And the brother took notes of and he knows I'm a tech guy, you know, and he's a friend of mine, so somebody I've known, and we bear the same name. we are the same first name. And so he thought, and he's a generous guy. So he just felt that I don't like this stuff. I can buy another one. This thing as at that time was 30,000 naira, 30,000, 7 years ago was 30,000 naira. Right now it's 50,000 naira or so. You know, so, but I'm not going to go and steal to buy it, or I'm not going to feel dejected because I don't have it. And I'm not going to envy that brother. This is just an attraction. So attractions are great. Now, so women are also, it's okay for women to be attracted to other women. And when I say that, someone will say, oh, I like the way this woman dresses. Oh, I like her girly. I like her rapper. Oh, I like the way she carries it. That's just an attraction. Everybody has attraction. Now, it is what you do with your attraction that can now become sinful. Now, if a man is attracted to a man, and there's a line you cannot cross. If you cross that line, you can either begin to envy the person you are attracted to, or you can begin to have hatred that he has what you what you don't have, or it can become sexual. The same thing too plays with a woman. A lady can see somebody, oh, I like her diamond ring, or I like her necklace, or I like the way she carries herself, oh, I like her skin tone, or I like the way she speaks. That's okay. It is basically showing appreciation, appreciating what the person has. Now, there's a line again you cannot cross. If you cross that line, it cannot become sinful. And that line can go anything from envy, dread, jealousy, or it can be sexual and anything. So now, a man is attracted to might not be the same kind of woman man be, or the kind of female man be is attracted to. That's why even if somebody is same sex attracted, it does not mean that he's going to if the man is going to go and start lost after every man. It doesn't work that way. Just like a man does not lust after every woman he sees, or a woman lusts after every man he sees. It needs to meet your specification. Whoever you are attracted to, for you to attract to somebody, that person must meet your mental specification. Most likely you're not going to be attracted to that person. You're not going to be attracted to it, even sexually. That days or to, I've had situation where a sister, I was saying this, say, oh, it will have said yes to that brother X, but it's not, it doesn't like his spoken English. The guy doesn't speak English well. So you say, you should attract to somebody who speaks well. And it's amazing because that sister studied English. She studied English in school, and another sister told me that, and now again, there's a thin line between being who you are and being worldly or being self-absorbed. So this one sister says that she will appreciate a brother that she can show off to her friends, if you know what I mean. A brother she can show off to her friend, a brother that she will not be ashamed to whatever. Now, from brother A, had the education that she liked, but he moders English, which is not his fault. Now, brother B also has this education like brother A. Now, brother B is younger than her, but he liked the courage, the physique of brother A. I say, sister, you can't have it all. But eventually she ended up marrying this brother B. But today, if you see them, you think the brother B is older than her, and every single thing. So there are things that we are attracted to. So we also have to be willing to also let go of some of our standards or what we think is standard, if it's not core, it might be important to you, but it's not core. It might be peripheral. But if you are fixated at that, you might lose out on other things that life might have to. It's just like me now. I have attraction to smaller cars, but the car I'm driving was given to me by my friend who passed on. He left it, willed it to me, if you want to use that word. And I didn't use it for like over a year because I just felt, how can I be using my friend's car? And I was right there in my compound for like 2 years until his wife insisted. He said, you have to have it. My husband wanted to have this car. So now, even though I'm not attracted to big cars, but I can't throw it to you because it does the work. It takes it from point A to point B. And it actually does more. It gives me the kind of presence that a smaller car will not do. Like, for example, if we're going to go and pitch for a job on campus for the SWAT Academy, it's the V8 that will take. People can kind of respect more when you take that. There's some places I'll get to when I just put bumper, the gate man will open the car, the gate without even asking me what I'm looking for. But if I had to go with my Camry or whatever, they will ask you, who will they find? So again, that's just how life is. Okay, so that's that question. I hope it answers you. Now, attraction is what you do with it. Okay, God did not create man and man to sexually attracted to each other, just like He didn't create woman and woman to be sexually. Those are sinful. The act is sinful, and it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable thing. What we say? Okay, let's everybody become homosexual. Man marry man, woman marry woman. That will endanger the human race. But He wants us to come. When we come together, we will have a complete spectrum of what He wants us to. In mental science, they'll tell you that we have right brain and left brain. But when we come together, we have a whole brain thinking. And that's why they say 2 heads are better than 1. So that's why I'm going to stop there. Let me just quickly go through did I answer your question, Modestus? Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir, you did. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So that's a good opener to our session today. Let me see if I can share my screen now. I've been having issues with sharing screen for the past for over a month. So what I did yesterday, I just figured out, let me let me delete my Zoom. So I had to delete my Zoom entirely and reinstalled it, and I think it works. So if you can see my sharing, let me know. Give me thumbs up, something. Can you see my screen sharing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So we'll take it from here. Let me give myself space. So all right, so we'll just take a quick review. You guys are lucky. If you still feel like reading Niebuhr's book, you can still go ahead and read it. The only difference is that it's like reading King James Version, Old Testament King James Version, reading Old Testament NIV or whatever. So it's more harder to follow. So we looked at Niebuhr's 5 views. Niebuhr wrote this book over 50 years ago, and he was able to come up with 5 views. That is Christ against culture, Christ of culture, Christ above culture, Christ culture in paradox, and Christ the transformer of culture, which is what we are hoping to follow. Our emphasis, if you've observed, my emphasis has been on Christ the transformer of culture. Let me see, where's my point? It's as if I've not used Zoom for 1 year. It's amazing. I don't even know where the pointer is. That's amazing. Anyway, so Christ the transformer of culture. Now we went ahead to explain what all these things mean, and people use things like 1 John chapter 2 verse 15. Do not love the world or anything in the world, and people have taken it to the extreme. So that explains this first one of Christ against culture. In other words, Christians are not part of this world. So we don't belong to the world. We shouldn't have anything to do with the world, whatever. But that is not That is not practical, okay, because Jesus Christ prayed that the disciples will be in the world. The other thing is that we are not part of the sin of the world. So somebody suggested that maybe Christians are a third race or another race. We have the world, we have whatever, we have the Christians. So as you write your term paper, your project, I want you to interface with this idea, the ideology. Try to tell us which point of view you are proposing, or which point of view that is rampant in the society. There are some things that people do. Following Christ means rejecting loyalty to sinful, as Christ against culture. Christ against culture. Christ's primary identity is that of resisting cultural accommodation. In other words, we don't want anything cultural. So if you say you don't want anything cultural, what you are doing is you are creating your own culture. So I don't know if some of you have heard some things like kingdom culture. How many of you have heard that? Kingdom culture. Oh, this kingdom culture. It sounds good, but the truth is that what really is kingdom culture? What really is kingdom culture? If you look into it, what we have so intensely pushed and labeled as kingdom culture might be our preference as a church, as a group, might be our preference as a movement. So, and again, you hear this like kingdom teacher. I'm thankful that I don't hear that often again. I used to hear, oh, Emmanuel, you're a kingdom teacher. But you know what kingdom teacher is? Teacher for the entire kingdom. You know what the entire kingdom is? I'm simply a congregational teacher. I'm a teacher. I'm a Bible teacher. My opinion do not represent the entire kingdom of God. Kingdom of God is whole universe, heaven, earth, everywhere. So sometimes we use slogans or jargons, and without knowing, those jargons are actually carving us out as exclusive. If you use something often and often, it becomes very synonymous to you. It's something like the first time I heard somebody, I was like 3 years as a disciple or 4 as a disciple. The first time I heard somebody said awesome, I thought you were a disciple. Are you a disciple? Because in my mind, only disciple use that word awesome. I didn't really realize that anybody can use that, because I've heard it used so much. In fact, the first time I heard the word awesome was in the church, and so it became stuck. So Christ against culture. When you look at Tertullians, it was not that saying that Christians are a third race. Because of that, okay, we have the world, we have people who want to follow Christ, then we whatever went off to go, and that's where the monasteries begin. People who will go and stay away so that we don't get polluted by the word. Of course, the Mennonites came. Simon was one. They were heavily persecuted, and because they were persecuted, they now begin to disassociate themselves from what the general society was doing. So even till today, you will still find the Mennonites in Canada, in parts of America, still living that life. Well, you and I know that it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Yes, you might go on your carriage. So that means that they don't travel far. They can't take airplane. They don't go by car, because how far can your car, can your horse, take you also. They make their own clothes, they claim, but you and I will see that even the clothes they are wearing, they cut it, might not be handmade, it might be machine made, and they have buttons, they have all this. So we have to be honest in our whatever we try to install as kingdom culture. It might just be our preference, and just that with time, some of these things will change, and it's changing. A lot of their children, of course, they don't believe in going to school, so they homeschool their children. But now, what the children now go out, they now see a bigger world, a world that is more exciting, a world that has more to offer. And so they are losing some of their children to quote the world, because they are no longer embracing strict Mennonites, tradition. Now, Ulrich Zwingli, which is also like a great grandfather before the Church of Christ, he argued against instrumental, music. So these things are things that were used to worship Africa, like the drum, the whatever. We can't use to come and worship our God. So because you have a hatred for something, you might begin to now endorse what you think is right as the law, and not really going and the Bible. So the second one is price of culture. So Niebuhr says that the cultural Christian tends to speak to the culture amongst the despisers of religion. They use the language of the more sophisticated circles of those who are acquainted with science, the philosophy, and so Christ of culture. So why can't we use the culture? That means loyalty to culture. Christ is part of the culture. That's okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with the culture. Christ came, was born in a cultural setting. One of the places that we visited last week, this week actually, was it last week? Was Bethlehem. Went to the city of Bethlehem, Judea. I also went to Nazareth. I actually enjoyed, going to Nazareth and going to, Bethlehem. Because most of the things you see there, passport, but people get so religious, people get so moved and every single thing. But maybe because the way I think, I know it's the same land, it's the same topography, but nobody can say this is the exact place and just was born. This is exact spots. People go there to go and worship, people go there to go and do so many things. So Christ was born because so you expect Christ to dress the way the people around him dress. Because if Christ was born in India, he would probably, if Christ was born in China, he would probably dress Chinese. If Christ was born in Nigeria, he probably dressed like one of the Nigerian tribes, especially where he's born. So loyalty to culture. Then because of that Christ of culture, we are uncritical. Then it's an accommodationist perspective. Okay, let's accommodate culture. That's Christ of culture. It's affirming both Christ and culture and denying anything necessarily up between the two. In other words, I can wear a shirt in Israel as a Jew. It is very common for people to have this actually. In fact, you cannot enter a synagogue as a man without having this on your head. It's a sign of authority, sign of respect, sign that you are under God's system. And so if you're entering as a stranger, they'll give you this. I bought this, by the way, but I had like two that they offer. They'll give you one to put on your head. So it's a cultural thing, to do that. Now, if I walk around Lagos, for example, like this, people, oh, this guy is Jewish. He's a Jewish rabbi, not a rabbi. It's just a cultural expression. Just like I have my scarf, my Middle Eastern scarf. When I wear, there was a time when we were living on the island. It was, I think it was an Easter day. So we went to visit another disciple. So I wore this flowing gown, the robe. I wore a robe. Then I had my scarf, red and white scarf. Then I had the black bar on it. And I was driving. People were greeting me. No, actually it was a Muslim festival day. We were calling me Al-Haji because they simply just linked what I was wearing with a religion. Meanwhile, I'm not. So culture, price of culture. There's nothing wrong in me putting this on my head, for example, even here, whatever. But I won't, because I'll be attracting too much attention to myself. But in Israel, it is common some to have people with different colors, or maybe black, yellow, blue, whatever. It's a culture. It's saying you have a sign of authority on you. It's a sign of authority on you. So you cannot read the Torah without covering your head to say you have a sign of authority on you. So Christianity and culture become fused regardless of their differences. So if one accept this second view, that means culture and Christianity are fused, regardless of the differences, whatever. So you become almost like one. So Niebuhr says, so what do we do with that? We focus on just love. Jesus is, we see Jesus Christ in everything. Then we're bringing back Jesus Christ back. We're not focusing on sin, little focus on doctrine and on and on and on. So if we fuse Christ and culture together, the challenge is we might not know where to stop. We might not know where to stop. We'll begin to preach a gospel, they call social gospel today, a gospel of accommodation. Let's just accommodate people. Don't say things, don't talk about sin, don't preach hell, don't preach repentance, don't mention things that will make anybody feel uneasy. Just love everybody, focus more on love. So you see a lot of churches today who have this what you see them, they don't talk about repentance, about sin, they don't preach about hell, They don't talk about, don't talk about love. They become social gospel. They will become more of what I would call more of HR, consultants. They just teach you how to live a good life, how to lose weight, how to eat right, whatever, and anybody can do that. So Christ above culture is an attempt at synthesis. Let's synthesize it, and it's the two extremes. That means the gospel elevates and validates the best of the culture. In other words, we're only going to pick out what we think is that Christ becomes the ruler of culture, because Christ culture. So we are only going to focus what do we think is the best, what agrees with us. That is what we are going to promote, and we're going to throw away. So it's a synthesis. Let's try to synthesize. Let's try to bring it up. Let's try to separate it and see how it goes. So what happens is that it downsizes to this view. That's according to Niebuhr, is the institutionalization of Christ and the gospel. So when you do that, what we're going to have is that we're going to have a culture that we uplift and a culture that we downplay. And what might happen is that the one you uplift may not begin to persecute the one. Rather you understanding, rather you helping them to see, you can even become a persecutor. A person who did that was Thomas Aquinas. His attempt to synthesize the world with the church. Now he sees some good in the world, but Christ can't change it. Can't change it, so we persecute it. We just extra what you like, and whatever we would like, we don't like, we throw away. So that means it's going to start affecting your sermon. It's going to start affecting your sermon. You're going to become more of a persecutor if you do that. So what about Christ and culture in paradox? The man who lived this one out, believe it or not, was Martin Luther, the German reformer. So what he's saying is Christ walks alongside culture, but doesn't change it. I'm not going to change it. So that leads to living a double life. And we see a lot of people today who profess Christianity but live a double life. In other words, the life I live in church, when I come to church, this is the life I live. When I go out, I can live any kind of life. And they will say that the life I live outside does not affect the one I live in Christ. And they can give you some scriptures, to try to justify it. Scriptures like when Paul said, the good I want to do, I don't do, but it's evil I don't want to do that I do. What wretched man I. So we say, I can do evil when I'm around, when I'm able to, then I can switch back, to do good. Of course, Martin Luther was that he gave in so much to his anger. History has it that he was a wife abuser. He abused his wife physically. And when he became very powerful, he now began to sponsor him, who protected him against the Roman empire's persecution, and he sided with the rich to not persecute the peasants. And so that that's not just Christ-like at all. So the church isn't the world, and the world isn't the church. So you can live a double life. Finally, number 5 is Christ, the transformer of culture. So this is a conversationalist view. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. It seeks to it seeks the conversation of culture itself. Conversion of culture itself. Now, for example, Sermon on the Month is used as an example. You have heard that this was said, but I tell you this. Okay, we're still going to take what is said, we're going to refine it, we're going to make it better. We're going to make it so we're going to change the world into a paradise where justice reigns. Christ. Now, this is the most difficult thing to do, because even in trying to do them, many people have done what is wrong. So let us transform the culture. So let us Christianize things. Somebody asked a very interesting question last week in one of sites that we visited about the celebration of Christmas. And the answer was very clear. Christmas began, now that's 25th day. We were at, we were at Bethlehem at the Shepherd's Field, they call it, the Shepherd's Field. And we're talking about how the angel visited the shepherds at night, and glory shone, and they told them that in Bethlehem, the Savior has been born. Now, number one, shepherds don't stay out in December. That was a very cold period. It's freezing. They're usually not there. So that one alone is one point to let you know that Jesus was not born in December. Jesus was born before the middle of the year, when during the springtime, actually springtime, when the weather is great and a bit of summer, and who can be there. But so why do we celebrate 25th of December? So the early authorities in the church now say, okay, rather than allowing people to be celebrating the God, an idol on that 25th, they know that's the sun god, they worship the sun, and the month of April, when the sun goes down, so the sun dies, then when it comes back, it resurrects. So rather than allowing them worship the sun, let's lead it to Jesus Christ. Now from S-U-N to S-O-N. Okay, let's take to Jesus Christ, who died and buried and resurrected again. So that is how that culture was transformed. So someone might argue that, oh, if you celebrate Christmas, you're actually worshiping a sun god. Well, I don't think so. Again, where focus goes, energy flows, because I'm not thinking of an idol on that day. And by the way, I think of Jesus Christ every day. As a church, as a community, we are going to focus on him first day of the week, where we'll come together on Sunday. And that's why we take communion, so that to guide us throughout the week, so we can think about just through us. So Christmas is not just a day for me to think about. Yeah, I mean, it's a celebration day, it's a holiday, so I rest. If you give me present as I'll collect, just like if you give me fried meat on salad, I'm so fired up. Whatever. So because that I'm not worshiping the God. An argument that Paul made that some people, when they eat meat sacrificed to an idol, they're thinking that idol, and so their conscience is polluted. So Paul said, don't even ask questions, where did you buy the meat? Because on the day of that idol worship day, meat becomes cheaper in the market, because of course there's meat. People don't buy meat because they've already sacrificed their meat. So it is excess to demand. So a lot of disciples will go and buy cheap meat, will go and collect meat. People will say, you eat food sacrificed to an idol. Oh, yeah. But Paul said, listen, we know that there's nothing, no such as an idol. Food for the stomach for food, for them go. Before Jesus Christ said that anything you take with thanksgiving is already consecrated. So even as disciples, we might have very strong opinion about something. So Christ, the transformer of culture, might seem like the most plausible, but it's actually the most difficult to keep. Evil is a perversion of good. They will say that whatever there is evil is originally good. So rather than having its own fundamental reality, they will say whatever you see as evil was once good, that evil was a perversion of what. So let's try to bring it back to the original. So what has led is Christian, like a view of Christian, when they will not have Christian music, which there's no such thing as Christian music actually. Gospel music, there's no such thing as, it's not a genre, it's what you say. Okay, so you can play country, country music is a tune, rap is a tune, is a tune, folk songs is a tune, but it's what you say in there that will make it Christian or not. So people say, oh, let's have Christian labels. So they want to go and create Christian record labels. So rather than us going to cut our this studio where these other guys do their own, let's go and do our own. Let's go and create our own Christian school. Let's go and create our own Christian entertainment, Christian television, Christian this, Christian that, whatever. So we are actually creating a parallel world, We are still using the things of the world, we are simply rebranding it. So Augustine advised, St. Augustine, they call him, advised us to speak to the culture around us. Let's speak to the culture, let's find out. So if we do that, the question now comes, what if Jesus had never been born? A lot of things that we have today, Jesus actually spoke to the culture. People said that the testimony of a woman does not carry any weight. Jesus allowed women to be the first to see him after he resurrected. The world, believe that only men should have the right to vote. Christianity turned that around. Women have the right to vote. The world believe that it is a waste of time to educate a woman. It's a waste of time. So women, the only women that were educated that could read and write were like princesses, but the regular people could not read or write. But Christianity changed. How did the Christianity do that? By creating public schools where everybody can go to school. Christianity changed the face of healthcare, by providing free healthcare and services to people who are in need, like the Red Cross, for example. So Christ is the one. If Christ didn't come, nobody would have had an idea that it can actually change any of those. And just 2 months ago or a few months ago, in my state, Niger State, the government just passed a law where female children from the will of their father in terms of property. Because it doesn't make sense. You give male property, you don't give the girl child property. And that's why also in India, there's a law in India that you cannot go to hospital to go and demand to see the gender of your child, unborn child. Is against the law. If any doctor carries that thing out, that doctor will be charged, and the person who also comes will be charged. And the reason also, one reason is that the woman, the girl child, is looked down upon in India, especially when you're getting married. It is the woman that pays the dowry. So most men don't want to have girls, because the more girls you have, the more dowry that you are going to owe. So a lot of them will not want to have girls. So what happens if somebody knows the gender of their unborn child? Chances are they might want to abort the child before the child is born. And number two, the birth of that child will not be joyful anymore. Even in culture, when a child is born, waiting the born, now boy or girl. If I remember, they will say now a woman. Immediately they say now girl. They might not show it now, but in those days usually like like, oh, I'm sorry for you. And that was why about I think it's over 10 years ago, that was during the early stage of GSM in Nigeria. There was a popular advert, MTN advert. They call it Mama na Boy. So people fought against it. That what if it's a girl? So the joy is because it is a boy. What is a boy? A boy. Everybody is happy. So that means that what if it's a girl? So that advert was pulled out of circulation within months, and it became very popular. Oh, Mama na Boy. So if somebody give us, oh, Mama na Boy. So Mama is happy if it's a boy, and Mama will be happy with the daughter-in-law because I give them a son. So if it's not a son, Mama will not be happy because you're not giving us forever. And if you not give, like my sister, my younger sister, the only girl in her family, give her first child girl, second girl, he wanted a boy, third girl, he wanted a boy, then fourth boy, he wanted a boy, right? Fifth girl again. So she had about 5 girls, and 2 boys. So she has 7. So you can imagine, and my brother-in-law doesn't like to drive. He's a very simple guy. He has a car, but I've never seen him drive. The only time I saw him drive was when he bought a Sienna. He had to go and buy a Sienna because there are now 8 in their family. So, is it 8? There are now 9 in their family. 7 kids and 2. So you can imagine they've already taken over the whole place. So all because my sister wanted a boy. Most women will feel very, very bad if they don't have boy. Like for example, when our brother Alawaye was in Lagos, Alawaye, the wife, had come to say a few times, our brother said that. People are saying, won't you have another child? Because she has 2 girls. Won't you have another child? He said, no, whatever. I said, you need a boy now. And she couldn't understand it. And so it is not a very good thing to tell somebody to go and harass somebody to say, why, a born boy? Because all you have is girls. So the society that we live in. So we move from that. And of course, we talked about your final project, which some of you have already have written to me, have told me what you want to write. And I've not said no to any yet. And I don't think I'm going to say no to. So pick what you are most comfortable with. Start your research early. I would advise you start your research early. Ask yourself what you want to achieve. Are you just extreme that cultural situation, or are you also extreme to propose, because hey, whatever you propose might be great. And I was actually planning to publish a lot of what the last two students did, did, because a lot of what they wrote made a lot of sense. When I say when I say publish it, I mean put it on our website for to go and read. Maybe it can begin to raise up a conversation on this thing about culture. Some of the things that we do, why we do the things that we do, are very important. So put your best in it. Maybe if you don't know, it might actually spark something beautiful that we can use. So as we round up, finish up, do you have any question, by the way? Anything I've said? Do you have any question on anything I've said? Any question, you can just go ahead and unmute. Any question? Anybody? All right, Phillips, you have a question.
All right, thank you, sir, for the class so far. My question is, some Christians believe if they listen to secular music, they might go to hell, because they believe Christians are not meant to listen to secular music. Christians should only listen to gospel music. In fact, a few months ago, someone texted me that I'm a Catholic. Is it safe for me to listen to secular music? So I don't know what you can you just give me some clarity on this?
All right. Sorry, guys. I wanted to take it back. I didn't have all I had yesterday was just lunch. I didn't have dinner, and I've not had breakfast either. So I just wanted to take a bite. Okay. Now, secular music, and I'm going to tell you my opinion. On my way down back home, I think I was in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, when a church leader in Kuwait, one of our church in Kuwait, this guy leads our church in Kuwait. He's not, by the way, he's not on staff. He's not on staff. You know what? He's not paid. He works there as an IT guy. He's and his wife who works. He used to be on staff, by the way, for 10 years in India. And he left the church staff, because of several things that happened to him, and it's still happening to other people too. And so he asked me a question. He sent me WhatsApp. We were constantly chatting. And I told him my opinion are just my opinion. And usually my opinions might come across radical. And he likes my opinion, by the way, because he knows my opinions are very, I think, outside the box. And if it's bad, I will not have that opinion. I won't think about it. Now, when you talk about secular music, is it the tune of the music, or is it the words of the music? Now there's just some music that I will not play. I will not play. There's someone that was singing in my head. Used to be a very popular music. In fact, when the song is an R&B song, when it came out, it won the best song of the year in America. I don't know who sang it. I can't remember right now. But it's called Swear, or I Swear. The one that goes, I swear by this song in the dark. I don't remember the lyrics anymore. So as a young disciple, that song was very popular even before I became a disciple. So when I became a disciple, I was like, I understand the book of James shouldn't swear by anything. So already, I can't do that. So right now, I don't even know the lyrics. I used to know the lyrics, but right now, it has disappeared because I don't sing it anymore. While we were in Jerusalem, and we were watching videos of what is happening in Nigeria, the cash trap situation and how people are. I just told my wife, man, this reminds me of Fela. And by the way, I like Fela. I like Fela's song. I think Fela's music is probably one of the most prophetic, music ever produced in Nigeria. And now I don't like his lifestyle in terms of his smoking weeds or his womanizing, whatever. But it says a lot of sense. And I grew up listening to Fela. And so And I felt that, so I quickly went online. There was a last song that was ringing in my head, Follow, Follow. So I quickly went online on YouTube, and that was what I played while I was doing my work, because I was also preparing work and recording sermons and everything while I was over there. So the lyric is like, Mr. Follow, follow. Then the chorus is follow, 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 follow. And you know, and I like the way it sounds. He say, if you dey follow, follow, then push. Now inside God, you go back. That was, if you are following, follow, follow, put your eyes. That's what I'm saying. So there's nothing vulgar about it. There's nothing what about it. It's just telling us, people, politically, if you are following all these politicians, open your eyes. You know, they say when you're following, you say open your eyes. Don't just follow. Don't just follow. Then another song that I just remember right now is the one he sang against the bleaching culture. There was a time in Nigeria there was a huge bleaching culture. Women wanted to bleach, and Fela sang one. He called it "So Ukraine." Let me try to remember. It's a long time I played that song. Yellow fever. Called Yellow Fever. Yeah, yellow fever. You know, they say whenever you bleach, your hand go yellow, your body go yellow, your mustache go show. You know, it actually downgraded women who bleached because they are insecure. He said your color is good. So that's a secular music, and there are several secular things too that sound secular in the Bible. Example is Songs of Songs. You know, a few days ago was Valentine's Day celebrated all over whatever, and I'm sure people who never read Songs of Songs probably start, reading Songs of Songs. But what makes something secular? You know, some of our songs that we sing, some of them might not even have a good meaning, a Christian meaning. Now, some of them again might be also trying to interpret our language into English. For example, let me give you one. Bend low, bend low, bend low, bend low, bend low, bend low, bend low. And see what the Lord can do. What's that? Bend low. What does that mean? People are busy, bend low, bend low. You know what they are bending low? They are shaking their bum and whatever. Bend low, bend low. You know, again, I'm open, I'm very, but the only thing is that a righteous man questions everything. And that's what I do. I try to question everything. I don't just accept things because somebody says it's okay. No, even if it's right. When I say question, I mean, I'm not critical, but I can critique things. You know, you need to ask, I want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to know why. Like the example of you guys not allowed to put on your cap during service and to wear your sash. It's okay because you are in service, and 1 hour or so later you put on your cap, the same service and whatever. The people like me, I question things like that. Now my colleagues might not always agree with me, and it's okay as long as we're unified in our thoughts. We are brothers, but I don't have to agree. Now, if what you are preaching is now potentially dangerous to the church, go and ask around people who know me. I'll be the first to call you out. I don't care who you are, evangelist, elder, whatever. And I've done that a few times in our church here. And I just say I was not loved most of it. But again, the Bible said that my goal is not to be loved. If I want to be praised, then I'm a false preacher. But I want to know, I want to understand why we are doing what we are doing. Like in my region, every Sunday is Thanksgiving, open for Thanksgiving. If you want to do Thanksgiving, this one, just tell me I'll come and do Thanksgiving. Now, the whole idea of keeping to the end of the month was when we're meeting as a church, it will be huge. We'll be having Thanksgiving. I don't care. But I care. But the problem about making laws is, will you be able to change them? If you're not able to change them, then it's something wrong about it, about that culture. So we were in Jerusalem, or one of those places. I discovered one of the teachers, the wife has locks, nice too, like my wife's own. I think, well, let me tell you something about this law. You know, there was a time in our church in Lagos that it was almost like a sinner everywhere, and she also shared her own. She also shared her own whatever. But right now, nobody cares. Because wearing locks actually cheaper for women. Those days my wife had to buy relaxer every month or so. You know how much they sell relaxer? Because her hair grows wild. I mean, I think. And right now it's cheaper. And it makes a lot of sense. And you can only just go to the salon and spin it maybe once in every 4, 5 months. So let's be mindful of what we instill as church culture, because that culture, if it changes tomorrow, will you go and apologize to people that you have destroyed their lives or you have made life difficult for them? You know, so that's what I think. You don't have to believe what I believe or do what I do, but hey, you must be ready to explain why you do the things you do. Haniel, your hand is up. After Haniel, Esther Olutumbi. Haniel, let's hear your question, please, while I eat my apple.
Okay, Uncle, thank you so much for the class so far. I know culture as a whole is a beautiful thing. And I also remember my paper I wrote on person culture. I wrote about fashion. Just looking and doing Adam and Eve did, you know, after they disobeyed God, and they went and made clothes for themselves. And from that time, fashion has started, you know, taking different trends from one level to another. People started to make things differently. And looking at culture, like I said before, culture is beautiful. It helps it gives us value. But on the other hand, it destroys us because you place your life on culture knowing that if I don't do this particular thing that as is written, meaning I'm offending, you know, my religion or my way of life. So it puts us in that state. But my question has to do with looking at Jesus. I know growing up as a child, we're told that Jesus was born on Christmas Day. But after a while, one became an adult, and later found out that Jesus was not born on that Christmas Day, but it was a day that Christians just came together and said, okay, let's find a day to, you know, to worship God or to celebrate our Lord Jesus. And you coming up again, you know, saying that Christmas Day is not the day Jesus was born. I didn't really understand that part. I want you to please. Is it wrong by, you know, coming up as believers to celebrate Jesus on that day? Is it something that is not that is sinful, or is it something that is not like it's not biblical? I want to get that point clearly. I don't know if my question is clear. Can you hear me? Hello.
No, I think Uncle was out for a while now.
We can hear you.
Let us just wait for him.
And yes, sorry, the internet here went off. Can you please, if you don't mind, your question again?
Okay, sir. So as I was saying, relating to Christmas Day, just like what you said, like, you know, that day was the day people come together to like celebrate, worship their idols and things. I want to get it clear. Like now we Christians are holding on to that day almost like a cultural something. Like every 25th of December, we come together, we cook, we celebrate. I want to know, is it a sin, or is it something biblical, or is it against the Bible? Are we doing the right thing? If an individual like me, I decide not to celebrate that day, am I going against any cultural value, or am I going against the Bible? I don't know if my question is correct.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very, very, very good question you just asked. And again, I'll give you my opinion. I would like to focus first on what the Bible says. In the book of Romans, it says one man accepts one day much more important than another. And that one I said Monday. But I would say that whatever you decide, keep it. Make sure you are convinced. Now, of course, if somebody wishes me a happy Merry Christmas on 25th of December, it's okay. I wish the person Merry Christmas back. It's our Christ, right? It's wishing me celebration of Christ. So if somebody wishes me the same thing in January 4th, I'll wish him back. And so forth. Now, as a person, I do not celebrate Christmas the way the world celebrates it. As a person, I don't preach that Christ was born on December 25th. I don't make a big deal of of that day. To me, it's just another nice holiday. If you want to call it a Christian holiday, we'll buy food, extra food, put in the house, people come and visit, give them extra food. Or you want to go celebrate, go to a movie theater, whatever, just a holiday. But I hope you think that way every day of your life. Think about Christ every day. So not just one day. Just like God talked to the Israelites about, he said, you talk about fasting. Is it just one day for you to humble yourself? Just one day. You should be doing every single day. So if somebody wishes me Merry Christmas, I wish me Merry Christmas. Now, it's customary for people to send cards, and I'm grateful for the digital world that we're living in right now. So what I do is that I'm family card. It's greeting the season, whichever season you want to take it, season of snow, season of whatever, season of everything. It just seasons greeting. Now there are other cultural aspects of that season that carried over, and that's the culture of going to chop down trees, and they decorate it, they put a lights on it. My wife bought the last one we had. My wife grew up in a house with Christmas trees and everything, so she would buy a Christmas tree that we can use. In fact, the last one years ago, put away this December, just pack it up there. You can set it up again. My wife used to like setting up this tall Christmas tree, and we put decoration. Okay, put lights. It's okay, but watch the tree. No, I'm not. So under the Christmas tree, they will buy gifts for everyone and put it under. Then on Boxing Day, that's the day that will now, I think that's the day after Christmas, right? And that's the day we'll now unbox everything. So if giving people a gift is good, I'll give people gifts. If giving people a token, I'll give. I mean, I traveled to Israel, I came back, I bought everybody here gifts. All of you have a gift, for me. I guess it's good. And giving a gift is good. But I'm not giving you gifts to save you. It's not your salvation. It's just a token to say, hey, I traveled, I brought something from Israel. Or something I'll probably bring everybody rocks. I'll pick stones and give you guys stone one. But I'm sure nobody will appreciate stone. Me, I'll appreciate the stone from Israel because I love archaeology, I love geography, I love all this stuff. So how you celebrate it? Do you celebrate like the world? Because the truth is that the world, on that day, people get drunk. There's a lot of immorality, like yesterday was Valentine's Day or 2 days ago. A lot of people, Lovers Day. It's okay. I hope we show love every day and not just one day. So, but it's usually synonymous. People, there's a lot of sexual promiscuity on that day. There's a lot of indecent act that happen on that day, all in the name of love. So people also celebrate Christmas, Christmas. And on that day, there's greed. There is so much hoarding of things. There's so much whatever. But think of Christ. We want us to remember his birth. But beyond his birth, there's also his message. There's also his death. There's also his resurrection. So I think we need to put everything together. So if anybody accuses me of not celebrating Christmas the way the world, I say, sorry, man, it's just another day. And again, I don't have to be wasteful on that day. Now, if on that day, I decide to go and buy extra food, to give to the poor, I think it's something good. Maybe visit the orphanage, I think it's something good. Whatever. But I'm not worshiping the sun god. I'm not paying homage to any tree cut from any forest or thereabouts. So in a way, I'm not sure if I've answered your question, but in a way, I think I believe disciples should also be mindful the way they they celebrate Christmas. They should be mindful the way they say, so that we don't become like, like the world. But is it a day that is great? It's okay. It's a day that we can all celebrate. At least everybody in the whole world knows that that day is dedicated to Christ. And believe it or not, the biggest celebrants of that day are coming the Muslim world. If you go to Dubai, Christmas Day is a huge celebration there. Of course, they are, everything about them is about making money. It's about commerce. So there's a come and celebrate Christmas in the desert. They will give you all those things. They will set it up real nice. Christmas in the desert. So that's what I want to. But I don't want to say more than what I've said. So that I don't give you guys wrong ideas. Loretta, you have a question?
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome back. Welcome back from Israel. And happy belated Valentine's. Thank you for the teaching. When you're teaching, I heard you saying something concerning loyalty to culture. And you mentioned something about, if Jesus was born in Lagos or Nigeria, my concern is, does the dress code, because you mentioned if he was born here, he probably would have dressed like the way, the Nigerian dress. So my question is, does your dress code has any effect on you as a minister? Or does your culture or your surrounding has any effect on you? That's the question.
Can you repeat the question again? Was my dress code? I didn't quite get it.
Yes, I'm saying, are you getting me?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, I'm saying because you mentioned something about loyalty to culture, and you mentioned about Jesus. I'm giving an example. If he was born in Nigeria, he would have dressed like Nigerian. So my question is, does my dress code has effect on me as a person or as a minister?
Yeah. Now, that's a very good question. How I will want to answer it. There's a saying that says, dress the way you want to be addressed. Dress the way you want to be addressed. Now, to the Old Testament, the priests, they have a way they dress, a tunic they wear, and that will set them apart to know that this guy is a priest. So when you come to the church age, a similar thing was adopted, even though in the early church there was no special dressing for ministers, because we are all ministers. There's nothing to distinguish us because we are all ministers. There shouldn't be anything. But during the Byzantine era, the Catholic era and everything, what they did was to adopt the special dressing of the lawyers. So the way a Catholic priest would dress today is similar to the way the Roman lawyers dress. So it's to distinguish them, and lawyers love to be distinguished. In England, lawyers wear the same wig they were wearing in the 15th century. Because then, to be a distinguished person, you have to wear a wig, a white wig, or whatever wig, and the longer your wig is, the more distinguished you are. So even though men don't wear wig anymore, the British court system has still adopted that wearing a wig. The judges wear the long wig. or the senior advocates wear the long wig. And a lawyer will now wear his wig and wear his robe, like all this graduation robe style. Also, when you go to the churches in the medieval era, because of this thing about let's distinguish the clergy from the laity, even people that sing in choir, people that sing in choir have their choir robe, have a choir robe. Then the minister, the pastor have a specific robe that he wears. Now, interestingly, talking about law, I've not seen any American lawyer that wears wig. Of course, the Americans, they want to do away with as much of the influence from Britain as possible. But Nigeria, because of our colonial mentality, we still like all those things. You must wear your wig, you must wear everything, to court, you must wear your robe. Of course, you can actually go to courts and they can and a wig. So in the religious landscape, the same thing to happen because we like to copy the world. Because maybe before, I was growing up, they come to be Catholic too. The Reverend Father had they wear, but they have a different color they wear based on the season. The Lenten season, the whatever season, they have different color. Of course, the mass servants have what they wear, the white and red, they wear also. As a member of the Children's Church, and of course, Celestial Church of Christ, we also have our white robe. And the guys who lead, the pastor, the top pastor, have their white robe. And believe it or not, they all have on their head. Some of them big cap, depending on our era. So as a bishop, this is one of the things the Catholic Church, Catholic bishop, or the Protestant bishop. So you see, we are just complicating issues. Now, during the Pentecostal era in Nigeria, many of the Pentecostal preachers we knew came from America. Maurice Cerullo, Rehan Bonke, Kenneth Hagin, all of those guys, whatever. And the most official cloth for distinguished clothes is a suit. It's a shirt, jacket, and a tie. So it was almost synonymous for preachers. You must wear shirt, tie, suit. That's how you know a preacher. I remember as a young boy, as a preteen, this draw up and down suit. So I wore it. We're going to church one day. I think it was a Christmas cloth, all this Christmas day. And my landlord's son, what was I saying again? What he said. Anyway, it's so important. He saw me, he was like, oh, what's your pastor? That means I'm dressed like a pastor. Am I a pastor? Why am I wearing pastor's clothes? Because, they were going to CAC. CAC church, that's where they were going to CAC. And of course, CAC must wear black, and it has to be black and suits, clothes and everything. Even as a young disciple, when I came to the church, you cannot climb the pulpit to go and do anything if you are not dressed in a jacket and a tie. Many people were disqualified from climbing up there. And not as if they won't tell you ahead. Sometimes you are told at midweek, about 15 minutes before service start, oh bro, you're going to pray, oh bro, you're going to whatever. So you have to stand with you for time. So because a lot of disciples come from work to church in those days, come to church. Some of them maybe they work in bands or some other corporate organizations, they will not borrow their time, So I'm like, so is the focus on dressing smart, decent dressing, or is it on a tie? Again, I guess we're trying to up the game to make the position attractive in a way, very responsible, so that they don't see preachers as irresponsible. So even as an intern, you are coming to come and preach for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, you must wear a suit, you must wear whatever. Again, it dignifies you. But the only problem is that we might take it too far, where the focus is no more on the message that being preached, it's now on the appearance. So people do a lot, they spend a lot and some length and breadth to look good. And I just say maybe some people respect you more if you dress sharper. If you dress sharper, of course you can't dress shabby. Because people look at the appearance, people look at the heart. So why I encourage ministers to dress sharp. There's no accepted dress code there is more than each. I mean, the way we dress these days to church, 30 years ago, it would have been like an abomination for a preacher to dress, to wear maybe a top and whatever. No, not to mention even the canvas. Canvas that we wear these days. I was the first to actually start, dressing that way. 15 years ago, people thought I was crazy, but I felt comfortable, So that's what I have to say about that dressing. So as a minister, I will advise you to don't be a shabby dress as a person. Just be be smart, dress smart, but don't let your focus of your message come from your physical appearance only. Even Paul warned the women, but they were following the Greek women. The Greek women are all about making your hair. I mean, they take so much pride in making their hair. Then they put all the gold trinkets on it, pin this here, pin that there, nice, and all their whatever, and they come out elegant. She's great. Then, Paul wrote them and said, don't let your beauty come from just outward adornment. Let it come from the unfailing one that comes from the heart. In other words, let's focus more on building the inner man than the outer one. There's nothing wrong, just like same thing that Paul said that, that physical exercise has some value. Like the past 2 weeks, I have trekked more than I've done in 1 year. I mean, we were trekking day and night. One brother was able to measure his own. I didn't, my wristwatch, the charger, I forgot it. I think I lost the charge, so I couldn't track my trekking. This guy said he walked over 145,000 steps. 145,000 steps. Now, if you can cover 10,000 steps in a day, that's a lot of trekking on normal day. But this guy was able to, and he pinned it and showed it to us, 100 and something crazy, stuff. So I will advise that you dress the way you want to be addressed, and I just focus more on the message, that you have. And if your dressing can open doors for you, I will advise that you do, you do that. Like if I'm going to go to speak to a group of lawyers, let's say, and I get invited often to come and speak in things. But these days, usually virtual, it's not Zoom. Now, if I'm going to address a team of lawyers to come and whatever, I'm not going to dress this way. I'm going to wear a suit and a tie. If I'm invited to go and on a function organized by the president of Nigeria, I'm not going to dress this way. I'll probably dress maybe a native or a Western body. Formal dress. What I'm dressed right now is called smart casual. I'm not walking in, but what I'm wearing is clean. My trousers are clean, my shoes, everything is clean, but it's smart, casual. The same way, if you're invited to go to a beach party, a pool party, you don't go and wear trousers, you wear shorts because you might want to sit by the pool and kick your leg. Now, as a matter of principle, there's some things I will not do. Just a matter of principle. For example, we are at Lake Galilee. Then, and it was freezing cold. I mean, like 5 degrees. I had my first sweat yesterday when I go back home. That's when I dropped the first sweat because it's so cold. Can you imagine me coming from the airports and driving straight to go and look for fuel? Like that's back to Nigeria. Anyway, so
Uncle, we are not hearing you.
We don't want to die. Everything that we are escaping from is what they will do. Lo and behold, by breakfast, before breakfast, to go and swim in Jordan River, in Lake Galilee. Freezing cold. I said, Lila, don't be me. Now, another thing I also observe is that while most of them were dressed, one or two of them were just the swimming to like a brother. There's a brother I know, but it was bare chest. Whatever. Now, in that circumstance, it was seen as normal. I mean, you want to go and swim bare chest. I'm going to go and do it. If I'm going to go and swim publicly, I'm going to wear a t-shirt and a shorts, to go and swim. Now, there's a second leg to our tour. that second leg happened day before yesterday and yesterday. Day before yesterday and yesterday. Yesterday, that's just for 2 days. They went to the Dead Sea region. So people had the opportunity to go and swim the Dead Sea, just over like that, you won't sink. And I saw like a brother, but I can't go to that place. But I appreciate what Jacoby did. Jacoby was dressed in, he had a t-shirt on and a short. That is what I would do. For various reasons, why Jacoby, dressed with dress. I think that's the kind of person he is. He thinks the way I also think that thing. I don't have to expose my body in public. Number two, I'm also a public figure. Where people take pictures and post online, who knows where those pictures will go to. But my second reason is not the most important one. The important one is that I cannot expose certain parts of my body in public, and that's why, as the disciples, I don't encourage public swimming. I don't encourage. The only time I've swum, I can remember last time I went to swim publicly. We are all men. We are all men. It was at Ikogosi. A bunch of evangelists went to go and spend a few days in just a retreat. I was only up there and boom, enter the water. Oh, man. But I'm not going to go and swim in a pool where there are women. So my wife, you know what I mean? And everything. I'm not just going to do it because the things people wear are different from what I would like to wear. A brother was telling me that he's finding it hard to go to the gym. We had this talk yesterday because most of the gyms, one, are crowded, which is one. And number two, what people wear, especially women come almost half naked to the gym. I said, brothers, they want to come and show off their body and everything. So as a disciple, I have the right to choose what I do, where I go. And I'm not missing out if I have restraint. And I'll be talking a little bit about that today at the Global Connect. I'll talk about fasting. The Bible says we should also abstain. There's some things I abstain, not because it's bad or good, whatever. I just abstain because it's not healthy. So everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. So that is my own observation there. That's my own stand. I don't know, there was a hand up. The hand has gone down. Maybe I've answered your question. But let's choose. Okay.
Hello, Uncle. There is a question on the chat.
I can't see any question on the chat box. Maybe because when I was logged out, I lost.
Okay, let me read the question. It's from Loretta Kamara. It says, "Welcome back, Uncle, and thanks for displaying presentation. Uncle, is it bad as a disciple to visit another church?" That's the question, sir.
Say it again, please. Is it bad?
Is it bad as a disciple to visit another church?
What do you think?
Uncle, it's not my question. I only helped read it out.
Oh, whose question was that?
That's Loretta's question.
Whose question was that, please?
That's Loretta's question.
Oh, that question. Okay, good question. Again, I will answer it the way I answer all my questions. Now, I want everybody to be informed. Being informed is very well. So when you say, is it good for a disciple to visit another church? Now, I will ask you, so what do you define as a church? What do you define as a church? So I guess what you mean, maybe what you mean is so go and fellowship with another group that is not your group. If it's about visiting, that question assumes that a church is a building. A church is a location. Like, for example, this evening, there's going to be a service. There's going to be a funeral wake-up service of song. I'm reading it out. There's going to be a wake-up service of song, Thursday, 16th February, 5 p.m. at Winners Chapel, number 96, Ala de Lola Street, off Celeb Bus Stop, Ikosi, not far from here, by the way. This is Mr. Fred George's mom's service of song. So it's going to be at Winners Chapel. And I would have loved to go there if not for the meetings that I have. And I actually thought I could go from here to that place, but I have what brought me to the office too. And there's another one tomorrow. You don't want, tomorrow's one is the funeral service, 17th, Friday. It's going to be at the United African Methodist Church Cathedral, which is at Jeba Streets, Ilogo Bus Stop, Apapa Road, Ibutemeta, which is not far from my house, really, at Swingo there. So this is the funeral service. Then line in states, then blah, 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 blah. So is there anything wrong with the disciple visiting another church? I'll be visiting another church tomorrow, by the way. So I think your question may be fellowshipping with another church. And my question is, what do you think? So if I step into, yeah, you want to say something?
Yes, Uncle. Of asking that question is that I visited a church before. I have a friend that I always used to invite to church, and she always attend service. So this day, she asked me to visit her church, and then I visited her. And I was not in service. My disciple called me to ask why, and I told her that I visited my friend church. And they were that whole it got me confused, but up now that we are not of the same faith. I shouldn't have visited her church, and then so I'm still like confused about the whole issue. So that's why I'm asking, as a disciple, we still want to visit another church because of the issue. I have to visit that church or like this, like that, all those things. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Sorry, I'm sorry about that. While you were speaking, somebody came into the office and I had to attend to them. So I missed a bit of that question, but it sounds like you have a friend you are studying the Bible with who invited you to their church, right?
Uncle, I'm saying that I have a friend I wanted to study the Bible with, but she was in another church. But every time I invited her to church, she would like find chance to come. And then she was like, every time you invite me to church, please come and go. They were having like program in the church, and she invited me to church. And then I went with her. But then that's one day I was in service. My disciple noticed I was not in service. She called after service, and I told her that I tell my friend's church. And my disciple, the way she handled the issue, like she was like angry. I have to go to another church. I have to follow the person to the church. And I'm still like not understanding that whole thing. So that's why I'm asking.
All right. So are you listening? Are you there? Loretta. Can anybody hear me, or is it my internet?
Uncle, I can hear you.
Wow. She logged out or what?
I hear you, sir.
Okay, now this is what I have to say, again, my answers might not be everybody's answer. Paul said that he became all things to all people so that he can win them. The question is not, is anything wrong? Well, there's nothing wrong. No, there's nothing wrong. It's not as if that's where you're going to be going forever and ever and ever and ever. Now, if I'm reaching out to someone, and it doesn't happen often, it almost doesn't happen. And somebody starts studying the Bible, or somebody say, oh, before I can go to church, you must come to my own church also. I can go. Because who knows, the things that you might see might even reinforce what you're going to be teaching that person, what you're going to bring up. So there's something wrong in it. I'm not fellowshipping as a member of that church. Like I said, it's the same thing as going to service because it's having a wedding, getting married, or somebody's friend dies, or your friend's father died, or mother, whatever, you're going there. It's the same thing going. I'm not going there as a member. I don't agree with everything. I don't agree with everything they do. But at the same time, I can't condemn everything they do. So it's everything that people do that is wrong. And I think it's going to help us when we come off this no, you are wrong. That's not a humble thing to actually do. Yes, in terms of doctrine of salvation and so many other things, there are a lot of things that we've gotten right as a church. We cannot also be prideful that we cannot see good in other people, or we cannot learn from other people. Or if you look at how Paul spoke to the guys in Acts 17, he started by quoting even their own poets, even by acknowledging. Paul said, I can see that in every way you are very religious. I can see. As I walk through, I observe your object of worship. So if one didn't observe, how would you be able to see this particular one? I also saw one with an inscription to an unknown God. Say that which you don't know, guess what? That is what I bring. Well, like, really? Let's come and know it too. So you must know how to present your case. You won't do that way. You can't come by condemning everybody's wrong. Because there are some things too that we do that are pretty wrong. They are wrong also. Now we are changing them as soon as we find them. Sometimes we know it's wrong, but we are still adamant, to change them. So if I go and visit a friend of mine whose parents are doing their 80th anniversary in their church, and I go to honor, like last year, for example, one of my friends who is actually a minister in the Methodist church, or Anglican church, Methodist church. He's actually a top guy. I didn't even know until he so we belong to the same coaching group together. And he singled me out of everybody. Told me I wanted me to come to their harvest last December or November. But he picked only two of us, myself and one other coach, a lady. And he said, I want to invite you to my harvest, to church harvest. The first thing I asked him is that, okay, that's nice. I thanked him, that's nice, and every single thing. And I said, and it's on a Sunday, by the way. And I asked him, is there any special thing? Because I want to see if it's something I can go to church, then after service, my own service, I can come and join. Fine. And I said, is there any special thing you want to do? Is there any role you want to play? It's like you invite me as a special guest, actually, as a special guest. Then I said, well, nothing really. But since I mentioned it, that he want me to do the first reading, to take the first, reading. And what they might do in that harvest is also a fund raiser, where they raise, so maybe to make a donation or whatever. I said, oh, that would be nice. But unfortunately, for him, unfortunately for me, that was the same period I traveled to Lome and Benin. So I was able to, to make it. So there's another friend again that we are in a coaching thing. We're trying to help a family through. And based on what this coach said, I got to know religious background, and my plan right now is to initiate Bible study. So you went to go and coach a child who is misbehaving, blah, 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 blah. Before you know it, and this is a very religious person, before you know it, is asking the child to accept Jesus Christ into his heart. And he came to me like prideful, because brother, he called me, Brother Emmanuel, but they respect me a lot. They were like, Brother Emmanuel, oh, the boy even accepted Jesus Christ to his heart. I just made a mental note. I said, well, I think my first discussion with this coach would be, when you said born again, what do you mean? I'm not going to go and start criticizing. Tell me. Oh, he prays sinner's prayer. I'm going to ask him, so what scriptural, we are coaches here, so we'll deal with facts. What scriptural backing do you have to support doing that and calling it being sick? So I use every opportunity I have, like Paul said, to those under the law, I'm like somebody not under the law. For those having the law, I'm like whatever. I'm not going to sin, all this to bring them, to win them over. So Paul said he became all things to all men. For one reason, to win them. So even when I go to commiserate with somebody or I attend their church service, I want to go and see. So I'll find a way to be able to win them over. So that's, now other people might see it as a taboo. Well, it's okay. The only thing I'll show you is this. I'll show you, I say, but we are all going to attend this one. Today, some disciples are going to go there today in Nicosia here. They're going to show up in the one at Butemeta also. I know the Butemeta one because that was where her husband was buried. The service so when Mr. George's father passed on. So this is mom and everything. So attending that in that church doesn't mean that I'm a member, or doesn't mean that I agree totally with everything. Even this trip that we went, in the group that we went to, we are about half of us are not members of the ICOC. And we saw many groups, we saw what they're doing, whatever. I mean, I have my opinion, but I'm not going to. My first inclination is not going to be to tear down their altar, break down what that's what I'm going to do. Seek to understand first before you want to be understood. Okay. Now let's come to a landing on this Q&A. I'm just trying to share my screen again. I'm so happy that my is behaving. Usually the thing will just hang. What am I doing now? Okay, sorry. Is it hanging again? Okay. Now we now end with the sixth one, which is Christ without culture. A quick overview of religion's worldview religion. And the question is, do all roads lead to God? Why do we have so many religious views today? I shared with you the book about learning about worldview. Your worldview is something you are committed to. It's a commitment you have that is seen in stories you tell, that those stories are based on presupposition. They might be true or not true. You might be holding them consistently or not consistently, and whatever. That is your worldview. And if you think you don't have a worldview, that too is a worldview. Okay, so we did all this the last time. Then we went to the science story. Someone will see this thing and say, "Oh, this is a human being." Another person will see it as a machine that that breeds. So that's why people have slaves, slavery. People treat people badly because of the presupposition, the worldview that they have. Then I showed you these pictures. Is it a duck? Is it a rabbit? Some say dog, some say rabbit. The answer is some of the above. But it is based on what you have seen. It's called your paradigm. We showed you this another popular passage, picture that's used in psychology. Do you see a young woman or do you see an elderly woman, old woman? Most people will see a young lady. Other people will see an old lady. It is your perspective, your point of view. So go to worldview. Somebody can look at this, something as majestic as this. It's called the eye of God. And one person will say the only watchmaker is the blind forces of physics. Another person will say the world is charged with the grandeur of God. So why somebody is saying God at work, somebody is saying something inanimate. So why do we have so many contradictions today? Our opening scriptures usually is in Psalm 19. The Bible says that the heavens declares the glory of God. The sky proclaims the works of his hand. Day after day, they pour for speech. Night after night, they display knowledge. There is no speech or language that their voices is not heard. So if all of us look up the sky, somebody can see, we see the sun, we see the moon. Someone will say, wow, look at this great thing. This thing must be a God. Otherwise, might say, wow, look at this great thing. There must be something behind it. There must be a creator. You know, so one person is saying a work of a creator, another person is saying something to be worshipped. That's why people worship trees, they worship stones, they worship the sun, the moon, the stars. Why other people are saying there must be something bigger, there must be something much more intricate about this. So that gives us two books. Excuse me, my heart fell. Usually, there's a clip. You use the clip this in a small black clip so that it doesn't keep falling off. So if you see anybody wearing it, I saw falling off. It's a clip that's holding it. Unless you want to put it, this way, which is more Islamic. But put it this way, it's more whatever Jewish. Now, so it gives us two books. The first book is the book of God's Word, W-O-R-D, which is the Bible. The Bible contains the Word of God. See, God's Word. The second book is the book of God's works, W-O-R-K-S, works. So the Bible says that we should look at the heavens. They declare the glory of God. So they speak language. It's a their voice goes out into all the earth. Their words to the ends of the world. You know, so when you look up, what do you see? So that brings us to Paul's arguments in Acts 17 that I've talked about. When it came to Athens, and he made that popular speech. It was from this speech that we coined apologetics. From this and what Peter wrote, I said, if anybody asks you to give the reason for what you believe in, do it with be prepared to give an answer to anybody who asks you what you believe in. So be prepared. We must be gentle. We must be respectful. Paul began by saying here, in verse 22, so I'm here, verse 22, he said, Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, men of Athens, I see that in every way you're very religious. As I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, to an unknown God. So, and like I told you in the other class, what Paul quoted was some Greek philosophers. So when you quote somebody's book, you get people's attention, or you catch their attention. So today in the world, this diagram is very old. This diagram is as far back as 2005, which is the first time I actually prepared this class. This time should get 2005. No, sorry, later than that, maybe 2009. So Christianity, based on world, whatever, as a belief system, as a worldview, not saying that there are people who act like Jesus Christ. No. Christianity accounts for 33%. So that includes Catholic Protestants, Eastern Orthodox, Pentecostals, Anglican, Monophysites, AIC, Latter-day Saints, Evangelical, Jehovah's Witnesses, Quakers, whatever, including ICOC. So it sounds like a big number. The closest there is Islam, which accounts for 21. Now, it's arguable that there's no facts to prove that, but people say that, Islam is the fastest growing religion. Now, Islam, if that is true, amen, good. If that is true, what that tells me is that the Muslim world are reproducing faster. More and more people, they are giving birth faster because they have more wives, and they don't have the crazy notion of the Western world where people don't want to give birth anyway. They just want to go and adopt a cat or a dog or a pet or whatever. So, but they are not growing faster because of conversion. However, in Africa, Christianity is the fastest growing religion. In fact, most of the spread of Christianity, most of the numbers accounting for the, for the fast growth of Christianity is mostly found in Africa. It's mostly found in Africa, and maybe some part of Asia too. You know, Judaism, Sikhism 0.37%. So you can go, Chinese traditional religion and on and on. Then Hinduism is for 40%. While population-wise, now those religions that seems to be growing very fast, like Islam and Hinduism, one thing they share, it's not because they are missionary, it's not because they are evangelizing, it's because of the growth, population explosion. Of course, the largest Hindu nation in the world is India, and India is over 1 billion. And the largest Islamic nation is not even in Middle East. It's Malaysia. It's Malaysia. So and Islam's growth is based on the fact that giving birth to more children. All right. Then the non-religious, including the agnostics, the atheists, whatever. So but why do we have all this? Do all roads lead to God? We're going to share why people choose to believe what they believe. Anywhere in the world, no matter where you are, people choose, these are 6 reasons. One, because they believe that what they choose to provides plausible structure. People like structure. People like, oh, go to the temple here, okay, pray 5 times a day. Human beings are creatures of structure, we like structure. So if it gives them structure, one, then there's also emotional security. Things you cannot explain, things you don't understand, at least you can accept emotionally. Then it gives you some form of, and that is what helps Nigeria. Everything, because we pray, I normally dislike some videos or some comments that people post in my compound. Not that what they post is bad, they'll post all these things. What's happening? Let's just be praying. They'll just be praying. It's not because like an anthem. My own something said, let's do something about it. It's like we do evil and we ask God to go fix the evil, that we're doing. So, and that's also what I think the big role, if there's any advantage the Pentecostal world is doing for Nigeria, it will be the provision of emotional security. You can imagine if nobody, the Pentecostal church are not there, people go and start killing each other. At least they go to their, what they call it, their kilometer or something, in Lagos on the expressway, Redeem Camp, this camp, they go there. At least they will have some hope. So emotional security is there. Number 3 is it validates their deepest cultural norms. It validates what they believe. So if you believe whatever, so people go to embrace a religious group that validates. If you have a worldview that when you are sick, somebody is doing you. Okay, that whenever you are sick, it is because somebody is doing you. It is because somebody is after you. It is because whatever. So it will be easy for a person to go to mountain on fire. I'm trying to turn down this thing here. Just give me a second. Let me turn off. The air condition is getting a bit cold for me. So it's going to be easy for you to go to a place like mountain of fire, where they will tell you what you will believe in. So religion, provides that structure, provides emotional security, for people, whether it's Islam. It also validates their deepest cultural norms. For example, I strongly believe that Islam was able to spread. Islam was able to spread as the way it spread in the Middle East because of the things that it brought with it. Authority to men. Women were seen as commodities. He provided public gratification for the men. I mean, if you look at the story of Muhammad, if you read the hadith, you see that anybody should follow. His sexual escapade, taking people's wives, everything about him, it's all about sex. And so you can imagine in a barbaric world, people will like that kind of religion. Where you take a child at the age of 9 can become your wife, can whatever. So the spread, and you can conquer other lands, charge them a protection, they call it the Jizrel or something, Jizrel, the protection money. So you can imagine how Islam spread. Not just Islam, even what is known as Catholic Christianity also spread using the same techniques also. where it's either you convert or you are killed or you pay pressure money or thereabouts. So it validates the deepest cultural norm. Now it helps in integrating our culture, to integrate our culture. So to also bring it together, to put it together. So that's what religion does. So if all of us have the same religion, it's easy to pull together. And also to monitor cultural change. When culture, you don't have to monitor, because when you put some rules, you can monitor when people are going out of that because there are rules to be obeyed. Number 6 is provide psychological reassurance. The world is truly as we see it, and a sense of stability and home. Like, how you just accept, okay, well, there's a reason. For those that embrace Islam, they are told that everything is considered, it is written. So that's why those guys, Boko Haram, they can go to war. They say you cannot die unless it is written that you're going to die in that war. So if you don't die in that war, they will say, it was not written that would die. If you die, they will say it was written. So you cannot escape your destiny. So you can see how some of those things work. So it's how the downward progression has been. Let's start from theism. Let's start from Christian theism. Theism. There's some countries like Istanbul, and by God willing, I'll probably be in Turkey next month. For that's one reason why I can see if I can get a letter and all this stuff, but I've not done that yet. I'll probably do afterwards. Turkey used to be the second empire, Christian empire. After Rome, it was Constantinople, or that's the capital city, capital of Turkey. Turkey is one country that spread from the Middle East all the way to the west to Europe. So you're going to be here and there. So, but right now it's a Muslim nation, maybe 2% Christian. So let's say the world started with Christian theism. That's biblical theism. That there's one God. Theism is a belief in God. So biblical theism, no. Now, the rejection of this, a reaction to this, will always create next level. From Christian theism, Islamic theism to deism, naturalism, nihilism, existentialism, all these isms, they call it the schism and isms. They have the Eastern, Papaistic, monism. Then they have the postmodernism, which is where we are living right now. So let's break them down. Christian biblical theism. Theism is broadly defined as a belief in the existence of the supreme being or deity. In common, palace, or when contrasted with deism. Deism is believing in the Christian God, or monotheism. Monotheism is believing in just one God. You can believe in one God according to the Muslim belief, but not the real God. More than one God. Now, all these theism, deism, monotheism, polytheism, they all profess that there is a supernatural being. Now, a rejection of that, the opposite is atheism. You call an atheist. So atheism is commonly understood as a rejection of theism. Where it belongs. We are rejecting it in its broadest sense. Give me a second, please. Yeah, sorry, I had to attend to someone. So the rejection of anything theism that has to do with one God is atheism. That people became atheists. So in any process, they say there's no supernatural being, there's nothing real. Now, what if somebody says, I'm not sure, I don't know. Well, I can't prove there's a God because I can't see any God. And I cannot say there is none because there seems to be order. So people become agnostics. They become they claim the existence of they claim that the existence of any deity is unknowable or unknowable. Say, well, if there's a God, we can't know. If there's no God, we can't know. Let's just leave it that way. Then, or I say there's a God, I can say yes. So they are agnostics. They are agnostics. So by the time we break down the core concepts, theism believe in God or gods. Monotheism believe in one supreme God. Polytheism believe in multiple gods. Then under you can have dualism, or you can have animism, or you can have pantheism. Dualism, you believe in two supreme opposite powers or gods. Now, you find out that like the yin and yang, there's a God that's opposite. Satan is not the opposite of God. Satan is not all powerful. Satan is a created being. So people say, oh, if there can be good, there can also be evil. That is a law. Parity. They are opposites. They have to be good. So some people believe in that. So what they seek is the word of balance. So there is a good God and there's a bad God. And there's a word of balance. But in Christianity, Satan is not the opposite of God. They are not even the same thing. Then there is animism. That's a belief in other objects, places, or creatures, all possess a distinctive spiritual existence. So you see that in India, where they believe an ant has this thing, they're like stone, they worship anything they don't understand. Then pantheism identify God with the universe or regards the universe as an manifestation of God. I've seen people pray to the universe, friends who pray to the universe, and there's a quote they normally quote, and you would think that quote is in the Bible. That's why you have to question everything that you hear. For example, how many of you have read this book? Let me try. Alchemist. How many of you have read Alchemist? It's a good book, by the way. How many of you have read? Put up your hand if you've read Alchemist. It's a small book, nice story. The first person to read that book in my house was Ella. My daughter was ready, and Henry read it. I was the last to actually read that book. I brought it to the house. I was the last to read the book. Alchemist is people, there's a line in Alchemy that people take as if it's the Bible, and that line says, "The universe will conspire anything you want desire in life. If you desire so much, the universe will conspire to make sure that I get it on behalf." Just believe it, or because I trust you, believe it, and you attract it. So if you hear things like the law of attraction, now in a way, some of those things have some elements of go all the way. You see that there are just a lot of things. So even I learn all this because I could learn them to know what I don't practice and I don't believe in all of this stuff. So say there's a magnetic force that can attract things to yourself. You can attract good to yourself. You can attract bad to yourself. Just need to think about it more. The things you think about just start coming to you. So that's where the law of attraction was. But you don't have to do anything. Think of money. Money will just come to you. And every single thing. Well, my most of things are think of money, but also think of work. Go and work. Add value, then money. So we go to Islamic theism. Islamic theism claim that there's one God, Allah, and there's it doesn't have a cohort, don't have a girlfriend. That's what that means. It doesn't have a mistress, and that's what the Muslims said. I can just carry the Son of God. Does not have a mistress. To them, God, you can only have a child if you have a wife. And since God doesn't have a wife, the best they can have is a mistress, a girlfriend. So that's why the Quran says for those that say that Allah begot his son, they are lying, because Allah cannot begot his son, doesn't have a mistress. But they forgot that the God that I serve can do a lot. So our God can come and spend time with us in human flesh. But of course, Islam doesn't believe in that. So deism is the belief that God exists, yes, and is ultimately responsible for the creation of the universe, but does not, does not interfere directly with it. So this is what is called the clockwork you just make a clock. God made a clock, wind it and leave it, and just walk and go. But God doesn't care anything. So there are people who believe in that. Yeah, there's a God, but it's not. We can't know Him. It's not personal. He has left us a long time ago. And people like what's his name again? Like Nietzsche says God is dead. God, that was a God who is dead. Then agnosticism is the claim that the existence of any deity is unknown or unknowable. That's agnostics. Then theism, rejection atheism, rejection of theism, rejection of belief in God and gods. Now, there are key facts in developing deism. Furthermore, is a lack of unity in European, the Protestantism. When one thing begins to collapse, it gives rise to another thing. When Christianity began to collapse in Europe, people became very disoriented. Look at the Second World War, especially, that man can kill man, kill people because of religion. Began to get, so there's a lot of people that say, well, if God is there, we don't really know. So that has encouraged a lot of those things. So that's why the clockwork is that the notion of being a great machine going on without the interposition of God is a clockwork. But as the clockwork continues to go without assistance of a clockmaker. So it was Newton that said, like, this Newton's clock, universe. God made the universe and took a walk, went on holiday. So this is the life story of deism. Where did we come from? God. Why did things go wrong? Primarily how we think, getting too involved in metaphysics. Now, how we think gets back, human reasoning that understands and applies. So that's what it is. How did things go wrong? God, who created the universe, set it into perfect motion, and then he said he ran out, he let it run out of this. So this question is a question that every believer wants to answer. Where did we come from? God. How do we get to where we're going? Well, primarily, it's how we think. We're getting too involved in metaphysics. Our mind has gone so far that we don't need God anymore. So man can answer questions. So how will all these things be redeemed? Then human reasoning that understands and applies the law of nature. So let us apply the laws of nature. Then we can bring ourselves back. So this is the philosophic assumption of deism. There is God, cosmos, and human beings. I want to go and read this on your own. Because of time, I'm not going to go. They'll have knowledge, ethics, history. I'm not going to go to. So from Christian theism, rejection went out to Islamic theism. Rejection went out to deism. Rejection of deism went to naturalism. Now, what does naturalism mean? Naturalism is the idea or belief that only natural or opposed to supernatural or spiritual laws and forces operate in the world. So they are natural law. We don't want spiritual law. So the natural, from naturalism, natural laws, it means that whatever goes up will come down. That's not natural law. There's only spiritual, about it. So they'll embrace things like gravity. What goes up will come down. If you throw stone in water, it will sink. Natural laws, and so on and so forth. So they try to take God out of it. Things happen naturally, and every single thing. Then naturalism, the route looks like this. Theism, God equals to infinite, personal creator and sustainer of cosmos. Then deism, God is reduced less now. He loses his personality, the truth, though remaining the creator of the universe. Naturalism, it says that God loses his very existence. So theism says God is infinite, God has everything. Deism says God did everything but reduced in his personality, it is no more involved. Naturalism says God loses very existence. We don't believe in God. God is law of nature has taken over. And so go and read up the notes. You'll find it very, exciting. Let me see. Secular humanism. Then we go to nihilism. Nihilism says this. That's heart of naturalism. It says it's the rejection of all religious or moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. So think of Ecclesiastes. Think of annihilation. Think of nothing. So they're not saying we don't want to believe in God, we don't believe anything, whatever. It's just a meaningless life. So this kind of belief will cause to go and commit suicide. So nihilism is more of a feeling than a philosophy. It's a feeling that people, when they lose things, a feeling they get when they are in despair, a feeling they get, because it's not a true philosophy. It's not just a feeling. So speaking, nihilism is not a philosophy at all. It is a denial of philosophy, because you're not using your brain anymore. It's a denial of possibility of knowledge, a denial that anything is valuable. Like Solomon says, everything is meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. Even though nothing is meaningless, there's meaning. Like, so everything is gratuitous. The joke that is just there. Whatever you see is just there. No, that takes us to Nietzsche. Nietzsche was one that said God is dead. He's the father of nihilism. So Nietzsche cuts the dark implication of a closed, godless universe. And again, when people are born into a world where things go wrong, they can form their worldview. For example, if somebody is born to a family where there's poverty and everything, they're going to hate poverty, or they're going to want to get rich, or they're going to see life differently. For somebody who is born in a place where there's always food 24/7. So Nietzsche said, God is dead. God is dead. Is he? I mean, surely he is. Isn't he? God is dead. Oh, I wish what God is dead. Nietzsche, look at it, baby. Emotion will tell you that God is dead, true. So there's this poster I saw. It said, God is dead, says Nietzsche. Nietzsche is dead, says God. Because God is still dead. Nietzsche is gone. So God is constantly reducing. We are getting to where we don't want to be. Science is taking over. The more we can explain things, the more we say we don't need God. And that is why Africa, Nigeria especially, we are very prayerful because of the things that we lack. Yesterday I was coming back home. I was praying, I said, God, let there be light to me. For 2 weeks, I never thought of there was going to be blink off. But light will not go off. I never thought about food. There was buffet. Buffet is easy. People don't mind. But here in Nigeria, you can't come and do that in Nigeria. They'll be monitoring you, even though you paid. When you live in a place where the norm is there, it will really affect your prayer life. So here back home, we pray for food we don't have. There in Israel, we pray for food because it's there, and it's going to be there at the right time. You're going to be there, and it is eat until you quench. Buffet, and the food is cheap. So the eyes gets open. The more that we begin to figure out the cause of malaria, maybe one day I pray because of cancer, how to cure cancer. We're able to figure out right now, we don't have to go queue up to make phone call, WhatsApp, we can communicate whatever. I hope and pray that we don't begin to need God less, because that's always the temptation, that you need somebody when you are in need. But when you probably start observing that you are now agnostics. So that is what is happening to the Western world, where there's nothing to live for anymore. People commit suicide when they're not knowing to live for. The things that they think they So nihilism, people say it's unlivable, because you can't just say everything's been livable. It's unlivable. Even Solomon, it was when he fell from grace that he was saying world as empty, unlivable. But the truth is that this world actually has a meaning. But for you need to find out, why are you here? Are you living out the purpose that God has created you for? Then we'll go to existentialism, both in atheists and atheists. So philosophy concerned with finding self and meaning of life through free will, through choices you make, and through personal responsibility. I'm not going to find out from God. I'm going to find out by my own trial and error, choices I made, whatever. So you can see how the world is needing God less and less. So Christian theism says, classical Christian theism says God, human experience. Then here is saying it is human experience that creates God. So here we're saying classical Christian theism is that God creates a human experience. Here is saying we can create. So it's atheistic experience. We create our God by our own human experience. So Karl Barth, who died in 1968, has this saying, the greatest is, it was one of the Protestant theologians in the 21st century. He said, God is known through encounter. If you encounter God, you will not know. You can't create God if you've not encountered God. And that's what Christianity tends to give us. So where do we now turn next? In this worldview, people are now turning to the East. Eastern fantastic monism, because the West has failed. People look at the greed of the West, people look at materialism of the West. Most of the world war was from the West. Most of the people that are causing a lot of disability in what is the West, whether it's America or Europe or one of those, whatever. So let's now move to the East. So Eastern religion is getting very popular now. Okay? So Eastern pantheistic monism is now becoming very, very popular now. In the 70s, it was the Beatles that introduced it. Look at the picture of the Beatles. They were the most popular pop group in the world. And the time to this got this, the disillusion. You can imagine singing "Let It Be," one of their songs, their very popular song. The song was, I think, was dedicated to Mary. They were Catholics when he was talking about when I went to blah blah blah. Mother Mary called unto me, singing words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be. So it's people who are getting disillusioned by the West. They call themselves Christian nation. Look at what they are doing. They are either going to go to the Far East to go and embrace this, or they're going to go to Islam. That's what's going to happen. Technology has led to modern military build-up, continuous warfare, where Western economy has led to gross inequality, whatever. So they're going to say, down to the West, let's go to the East and try their religion. Because their religion cares about nature, it cares about people, it cares about whatever. So why can't you just go? So read some of these things up. We'll talk about meditation, we'll talk about transcending meditation, we'll talk about inner peace, we'll talk about finding purpose in life. Those things are it's not that they were not in Christianity, but Christianity has been so warped that it's now materialism. Look at the pastors, for example. Look at all the bishops. Look at, it's not about money, it's not about capitalism. So Hinduism and Zen Buddhism is offering people that free opportunity. So worldview, narrative in Eastern pantheism. So where do you come from? Creation, right? They say we have always been part of the eternal cosmos. Where do you come from? We have always been here. So what went wrong before we began to trust our perception of reality than our mind? So that's why they will say, trust your mind, empty your mind, focus your mind, whatever. So how will things be fixed? What's redemption? By transforming our mind so that we'll pass beyond all these artificial the distinctions. So they're going to go and meditate, then try to lead their body to go to another place, hopefully deny their body and everything. So that is what we preach. Unfortunately, the same people who preach this thing, it becomes the capital of poverty, disease, and poverty. So it doesn't work. So people say, oh, let us go to the Eastern religion. They will teach us meditation. They will teach us inner peace. They will teach us, not to love materialism. They will teach us, to share, whatever. But when you go to, I've been to India, I'm going to go back to India in April. Is it April or May? I'm going back to Bangalore. You see poverty. So that one too is failing, unfortunately. So what's going to happen? They are coming to the West back again. So the nations that are built upon Eastern pantheism are turning to the West for their hope of that transformation, IT technology. So you can see how the world is going round and round. So the only thing left now is New Age philosophy. So they want to now evolve God. In the past 3 months or 4 months, the latest development was GTP, that is threatening Google. Right now, people can do so many things. Artificial intelligence is going. So who needs God when you have artificial intelligence? Who needs God when you can figure this out? Who needs to pray when you can turn to all this stuff? So from there leads us to postmodernism. We are now going beyond. So after modernity, we are going postmodernism. So as a theologian, Tom Oden has provided us with a very helpful timeline in order to see the rise of modernism and the replacement of postmodernism. From 1789 to 19 whatever is the modern period, modern era. Then the fall of the Berlin Wall, naturalism, Karl Marx, all this whatever, now go to postmodernism. So we don't need all these things anymore. So you can see how religious belief have fallen. So as we talk about Christ and culture, you need to work hard in understanding the ever-changing culture that we have. Like if you go to Israel, you say, oh, Israel is a holy land. Which kind of holy land? Israel is a secular society, very secular society, very secular society. There are probably maybe like 2% or 5% people who believe in Judaism, over Judaism, but guys, Amit, that's his name, Amit. He doesn't believe in anything. So they're just there, they work hard, they enjoy their life, they live their life, and they are good. So the working definition of postmodernism is incredulity towards meta-narrative. Anything that shows a structure, they don't want. They want a structure. Let's just live our life, want to live our life. Let's do our best, whatever. So it's an overreaction towards the storyline that we've been saying. So the implication of it is that no one story holds Western society together. So you can't tell me it's Christianity, you can't tell me it's Islam, we don't want. You can't tell me, no, we don't. They reject any story. There's no meta-narrative you can give. So all stories are by the communities tell it by. So your truth is your truth, my truth is my truth. Don't use your own to come and affect. I will respect you, you respect. And that is why it's very important for us to look at that video. Errors. So that's why let's just tolerate your life. That's why I introduced that video as I did say. That's when I actually did that video again. Are we going to tolerate sin? In our bid to tolerate whatever, are we going to keep quiet? Are we not going to speak against abortion? Are we not going to speak against gay marriage? Are we not going to say, oh, let's just tolerate everybody? So it is very, very important that our bridge, watch out for your bridge. I'll tell you something about that soon. So human beings make themselves who they are by the language, they construct about themselves. So these are some things God really told us. These are some basic tenets of postmodernism. One, postmodernism does not address what is there or how we assess it, but rather how language function to construct meaning. Not create your own meaning by what you say, what you believe in. So it begins to know. We want to know. It begins by knowing. Knowledge is everything that we need. So the truth about reality, all we can do is to tell stories. In other words, what is your own idea? Let's share idea. That reminds me of Acts 17, where all the attendants do nothing but sharing the latest idea. So we are going back to where the world began. So stories give their community their cohesive character. So we're going to tell our own story in the way we want it. And you can have your own story and it's fine. It's like living in a matrix. So any one narrative used as a meta-narrative is oppressive. So don't come and tell, don't preach to me or whatever. Keep your own. But the day you now start telling that, okay, it is wrong to lie, or it is wrong to man and man to marry, you are not an enemy. So the left is not getting powerful. The things that we thought are wrong, please don't bring it up. Don't pray in assembly in school, because that will be imposing your religion on somebody else. Don't do this. Don't say your child is male or female until they are born. Let the child go to determine if they're going to be male or female. So they don't want anything to tell them this is how life is. They want to create it. So it's like a free will. Remember what the Bible says? When Israel had no king, everybody did as a suffered. So ethics, like knowledge, is just linguistic constructs. Social good is whatever society takes to be. So nothing is right, nothing is wrong. It is right if you say it's right. It is wrong if you say it's wrong. So postmodernism is all around. If you look at the media, I saw a latest cartoon of was it latest cartoon I watched. It's a good cartoon, but I was shocked to my bones that the way they portray homosexuality. A boy can date another boy and they can become, it is all around us in education, in literature, in history, in social science, in morality, like we talk about sex, marriage, in theology, in religion. Let us accept people. Just preach peace. Don't don't rebuke anybody. Don't whatever. Just accept people. In politics, also the same thing. No permanent enemy and no permanent. So I ask us, where do we go here? Church, you can see that we have a lot of problem. We go to, the Muslim way, which is all the authentic people are running to Islam. But Islam gives them authority and power and money also. So this is how we clear the confusion. Again, we go back to what the Bible says. Biblical theism, the Christian worldview, is to engage the West and the world with the only worldview that can meet the intellectual and practical demands of human life. They can answer the question of where are we coming from? Where do we come from? Where for in the past, God allowed ignorant, but right now he wants everybody to repent because he's going to judge the world by justice. And he has made this known by the man that he has resurrected from death. So we also must preach to the world that what they claim to be unknown is, we need to fill up that gap. And like I told you, what Paul preached was the Epimenides and Arostos, what he quoted there. For in him we live and breathe and have our being. We are his offspring. So he quoted their philosophers because he read about them. So we need to look at the critics, these things, from creation to fall, redemption, and consummation. That is the line. History is a line, not a circle, not reincarnation, and not in scribbles. So Hinduism, it fails under that. Buddhism, fails in rebirth. Rastafarianism try to give the blacks in Jamaica a sense of being, and it was promoted mostly by a man called Marcus Garvey. What about him in 1920 Jamaica? And he was the one that claimed that Haile Selassie was God. Just was in Ethiopia, the prime minister of Ethiopia. So when they say Jah Rastafari, right, they are calling on Haile Selassie, Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie never said he was God. They said he was the last descendant of King Solomon. So if you go to Israel now, you see a lot of Ethiopians there who are members of that community who are Israeli. They serve in their army and everything. Because Bob Marley became the most famous Rastafarian. And of course, Rastafarians believe that if you want to really get in touch with the divine, you have to get high. And that's why they smoke Indian hemp. So when they are high, they believe that they actually getting in touch with the divine. They have their own Bible. It's called the Holy Papa. The Holy Papa, the Bible written in part 1. The Holy Papa, you can probably, I think I can get it online. The Holy Papa. And the locks that they grow, the dreadlock, not just Lord Dread, the big one, they say is their roots going back to Africa. Their roots going back to Africa. So we've seen some other things that come up from the East. Every world religion, from the West, every world religion came from the East. Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, all of them came from the East. But the only other ones are reactions that come from the West, like Mormonism. We're going to be doing a lot of that. So when we do church history, you can read a lot of that. Then the bold statement that was made, Jesus Christ said, I'm the way, the truth, and the light. We must preach Jesus. We must preach Jesus. C.S. Lewis, I love C.S. Lewis, used to be an unbeliever, an atheist, until he got converted. He said, a man who was merely a man and said the sort of things that Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. Let's forget about that one. Not just Ojaka was a nice guy. No, he will either be a lunatic or on the level with a man who says that he was a poached egg, or he will be the devil from hell. You may take, you may take your choice. Either this was and is the Son of God, or else a madman, or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool, or you can fall at his feet, call him Lord and God. But let us not come up with any patronizing nonsense about him being a great human teacher. He has not left that hope. So is it Lord? Is it lunatic, liar, or Lord? There's a sermon I preached one time, liar, lunatic, or Lord. I normally preach that sermon during Easter period. Is he a liar, is he lunatic, or is he Lord? So clearly the confusion, we have to look at which of this world religion actually gives us a meaning for life. Who tells us where we are coming from without any ambiguity? Who tells us, shows us why we are where we are, the problem we are in right now, why we are suffering, and who shows us, say, Christianity is the only world religion that answers other questions. Unfortunately, like this tree, this same Christianity is divided into so many things culturally, culturally. And that's why Jesus Christ said, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, like you know God. All these groups will say, Lord, Lord, but who will actually enter? If you look at it, in this big tree, you have the Protestant churches here, you have the Eastern churches there, you have the Western churches here, you have the radical, Anglican, whatever, all kinds of names, Church of Christ, Greco-Roman, whatever. How can we all believe in one Christ and yet we are also divided? So why do people choose to believe the things they believe again? It provides possible structure, emotional security, their deepest cultural norms. It helps us, integrate our culture. It monitors the cultural changes. It provides psychological reasoning that the world is truly as we see it, and a sense of stability, in the world. There has to be a reason. Again, go and read Acts 17 again, how Paul was able to address those people, and that is how we need to do. So I've taught you guys about this. If you come to a doctrine, which is what divides a lot of Christianity, ask yourself: is this doctrine core? Is it important? I made sure I added it to the sermon series last year, and depending on the region you are, I hope your evangelists in your region they did justice to to this. I wanted us to talk about it, the circle of doctrine. Good doctrine is the one that starts from the core and try to go out. Bad doctrine is one that focuses on the peripheral and try to go to the core. So the things that we believe at the core, the things we quarrel over at the core, the things that we kill ourselves over at the really core. So that's the question we need to ask. One thing I believe on that way, are we unified? God Bible said there is one body and one spirit, just as we were called to one hope when we were called. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, over all, through and all. So this is the core. Chapter 5 contains the core. What shirt I wear to church, the hairstyle I barb, whether I wear shoe or slippers, whether I wear gown, whatever, all those things are the core. So these are other passages I want to go and read up that will help you, especially in Matthew chapter 7. Not everyone says to me, Lord, Lord, when that came up. Not everybody who does fighting, whatever will enter. A Bible says, enter through the narrow path, not the broad path. And the book said, Bible says, make every effort to enter truth. That's chapter 1, verse 18. Talks about how people have rejected God, and so God has handed them over to things that it should be, including homosexuality. Also, where we watched that short video, but you already watched it earlier on. So watch again the tolerance, the intolerance. Now, this is how I normally end this class. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say in the next few minutes. Talking about religious tolerance. There is strong faith, there is faith and bridge. It is better for me to have a strong faith, to keep my faith very strong, and have a weak bridge. You know what? Let's say I'm here. Let's say I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, and I say Pentecostal here. I rather focus on building my faith to be strong and have a weak bridge. Unfortunately, today people build a strong bridge where they can flow back and forth, and they have a weak bridge. The stronger your bridge, the weaker your faith. The stronger your faith, the weaker your bridge. I rather people not take me as their friend. I rather people don't like me because of what the Bible says, and I believe the Bible, than to build a very strong bridge where people like me so much, where there's no difference between us and them. The more stronger that bridge is, the more you're going to compromise on your faith. There's some things you won't want to say around. Killing the conviction that you have. It's 1 o'clock on the dot, and this is where we Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
sir.
very much. Okay, thank you very much for the class. I believe we all learned greatly. There's noise at the
There's
background.
a feedback. I'm getting the feedback.
Okay.
All right, it's clear now. Hello.
Beautiful, you can continue.
What's around
Olu's line that's making that noise.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for the class. I mean, it was impactful, elaborative, educative, and very inspiring. And I believe the same for each and every one of us. The floor is open for any comments. Maybe you have questions that you want to ask, or you have comments, you can as well share, or you ask your question. Is there anyone who have a comment or a question to ask? Please, you can go ahead. Okay. In the absence of none, I think we'll be going to. Hello?
Looks like there's no question.
Yes, there's no question.
All right, so we have come to the end of the semester work. What is left right now is for you guys to finish up your projects. Let me finish up your projects, which I'm sure that all of you guys will finish up. And I can't wait to read up all the insights to be sharing, which I'm sure is going to be great. Now, remember, here are the expectations. I'm just reading Carson, Christ and Culture Revisited, chapter 1 to 5, you score 10 points. So let me stop recording.